really, really happy that Eva, there you are. Hi. Great
Hello.
that you it works and we're live. Really nice.
Oh,
Because
good.
before we were in practice mode. Hey, Angela. Hi. Oh, she's
Hi,
here
Anne.
too.
That
Hello.
that gotta be somebody from my group.
Yeah. So let's just take a couple of minutes and wait till some people join. Yeah,
Hello.
so today's the second Business Goddess Live. And yeah, I'm really happy that Eva is joining us today because she will be at the Business Goddess Learning Journey in Budapest in the beginning of May as well, as a
Yes.
special guest. And Mrs. Embodiment, I just call her Mrs. Embodiment in Virginia Satir. And I'm really happy that you're bringing in so important and really enriching experiences, actually. And we know each other more than 10 years. Wow, it's really crazy.
I know. It's been a long time since we first met. I think the first encounter was you knitting in Gunter Schmidt and Dr. Stephen Gilligan, and me translating and bridging between English and German and harmonizing different worlds. Um, yeah, that's bringing us together now.
And that's why I love it, because it's actually kind of like heroes and heroines journey that we actually went through all these years. And I'm so glad and so happy to bring that all together now with Business Goddess. And you have a very strong business background as well. And as well for all the embodiment and, the rich background that you have. And maybe, you just take a chance to introduce yourself and give that rich background. I think most of the people who are joining now know you, but still it would be nice if you just give a short introduction.
I try to be as succinct as possible. I have a background as a dancer. I had a dream to become a professional dancer. And then I also rejected that possibility. Had an invitation to go to Chicago to join the Chicago Dance School. But in my 20s, I also had a dream, which was a family dream, to run the third generation of a family-owned company in the service facility management industry. So the art and embodied work I had to drop for some time to follow a path which was going into banking, and then I did my MBA, and I was working for consulting companies like KPMG and Gerling Consulting Group and big corporations. And that brought me to entering the family-owned company of about 3,000 employees to take over the business and then run it into the next third generation. And sometimes life takes over and it's different than you make plans, and that was similar for me. So in the journey of still having this intention of continuing the work, I was also brought back by the fire and the interest in knowing more about psychology, the chemistry between people, not just the chemistry to clean floors professionally, but the chemistry in relationships. And that search brought me to the whole psychology world that opened up at some point. First, in the idea of self-education, I learned NLP, I learned Ericksonian hypnosis, I learned more of body approaches. But then I came across my initial interest, which was family systems work. So it brought me to the work of Virginia Satir, who is the mother of family systems work. And I was just enchanted and enriched by the possibility of the work. And I found myself learning not just about psychology, but also how psychology has such an impact in the business world. And today, to make a long story short, I am living in two worlds. I work still in the business world. I'm an educator in that arena and have brought all the soft skills like communication skills, leadership skills to the arena of cleaning and facility management. And I run in the third generation now, the institute that's been rolled out globally to continue and update with new understandings including embodiment, the beautiful systemic work of Regina Satir, who was an educator first and then became a family therapist, then became a communication artist. And the last track, she actually became a peace activist. She wanted to create peace within, peace between, and peace among through the arena of helping families to create a harmonious way of interacting with each other. And I think that brings us also to the task that we're facing today. It really is peace work, and it starts with being embodied and being really a grown-up person in a grown-up body, and not being a little person in a big body. Because what I find we see today is a lot of people, little people in big bodies, or call them hurt people in big bodies with a lot of power. And what I find need in the future is grown-up people in grown-up bodies with the capacity to hold multiple contradictory truths at the same time, to create, I think, a feminine version, a feminine energy. And I think that brings us to the shared work today, why we're doing the goddess work.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's great because, you know, I was working in the corporate world for like one company for 13 years, and now the last 11 years with small and medium-sized, and actually medium-sized like 5,000 people and 15,000 people companies. And I was working there a lot with change management, leadership, and especially the last 2 years, I always had the feeling that I'm rearranging the chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really help if we have a nice constellation of the chair and great leadership, but if the whole system doesn't really change. And that's why I brought up the business goddess, to bring both together, because like you said, I think we need a lot of more feminine qualities and energy in the business world, and not just to try to fix the old systems, but that we have to really reinvent. And this is, I think, and that's where we're coming into that feminine qualities. For me, that is one of our core feminine qualities, to give and hold the space so that something new can emerge within. I just love that, to really hold that space, because this more masculine energy is like going in. Like one time I heard, it's like a sperm, just goes, focus, doesn't look left or right, but actually result. And for us, the feminine quality is really to hold that space.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. And I think it's probably clear that we're talking about feminine energies, and that can be in a male body and a female body, and all many ways in between. But I think really the feminine quality, the feminine energy, to me, is what's needed. I mean, it's the capacity to create a safe container, a safe space, where something uncertain can grow. You know, I mean, if whoever has ever had a baby knows that there's something, as you tried it multiple times, you did it multiple times, and you know, you have these ideas about who's going to come, and then you're usually in for a surprise. And for me, that's a very original feminine quality, to hold uncertainty, to hold the unknown. I have ideas about who may come, but what really comes into the world is really a surprise. And then it's our capacity to engage and be curious with this new being, to be educated who this being is, may be very different to what we expected. And that's a very original feminine quality, to have a space that's nurturing, that is holding, but also that knows how to be with the unknown.
I love that, because not just the unknown, that it's really being with the process. And especially during the pregnancy, you learn actually you cannot do anything, but you can do everything. It's like you can look for the process, you can look after yourself, but you have to trust the process, that there is a human being and their head, and you know, everything fits together, and that nature knows what it's doing. So you have as well the ability to trust the process and hold that space for that process and nurture that. and then let's, you know, nature come up with that surprise that comes up there.
Yeah.
And it has its own character when it comes into the world.
I mean, look at my poor parents. They thought Valentine the Third is coming into this family. We planned for a boy. He's gonna be Valentine the Third. Gonna take over the business. It's a lineage of businessmen. And then they were in for a surprise. I came out and said, hello, I'm not what you expected. I'm everything different. And then it's a really interesting process how to, you know, how to connect to the surprise and make room and find ways not to try to put somebody, some being in a little box, which is usually the hierarchical, patriarchal world. Put somebody in a box. Virginia Satir likes to call it the hierarchical model, where you define a person as you have to measure up a certain way, and then there are labels of too much or not enough. And you're trying to cut that being in this little box. In her understanding, we need to create a more nature-oriented, circular idea, the womb as a metaphor, to help being to be unique and allow that uniqueness to stay in the presence, and still help them with safety how to grow up, but allow that uniqueness to flourish, to blossom, and to show its potential. That is the more feminine, seed model, nature-oriented way, which is more our thinking. But we do live by the hierarchical world that is saying, measure up this way, and if you don't measure up this way, then it's too much or it's not enough. And then people try to put them in the box, and then they walk around like this, totally constipated, holding their energies back in, getting into tension. And I think that's where it brings us also to this idea that we need to bring embodiment into the conversation. Sometimes we hold our body in a way with tension that we're not even aware of. And all that we can communicate is the tension of the learned experiences from the past. But if I want to be like, hey, this is me, this is my unique essence and presence, I need to find ways how to relax, to open, to release, to form, to work with the body in order to become fluid water again, and not a restricted somebody who's
ice block. No, what I think, and that's why I think the embodiment part is so important, because when you come into the world, the first thing how you learn is through the body.
Yeah.
And then you're grown up, and then you think, okay, the learning, it just happens here. Maybe it happens in the heart when we do a lot of self-relationship, but that's it. And actually consciousness is like a full body experiment and experience. So it's like to really get everything into that flow and to really embody what you want to bring into the world and embody the thoughts. And sometimes you even start with the embodiment, and then your brain starts to get the learning, not the other way around. Where often we think that we have to learn it on a conscious level and then the body will transform. That's right. Very often actually the other way around.
Absolutely. I love what you just said, Annika, because I remember that as I was going through my trainer training, one of my muses, one of my inspirations, Judith Delozier, who also happened to be a dancer, and she started quite late. And we had this assessment in our training presentation, and almost like a director, the audience could give you different ideas how to tweak and twist and adjust your presentation. So I did my presentation and I felt okay about it. And then Judith did, I guess one other person said, present it as if everybody is 80 years old. So present that to this audience, because I think they wanted to invite me to make it a little bit more expressive and to use my tone a little bit more. And then Judith said something really interesting. She said, present as if you dance it. You know you're a dancer, bring the background of dance back together, and now dance the presentation. And it was almost like a curtain lifted. And it brought my dancer back to me and bring it into the way of how I present myself and how I show up in a training. And it really brought to my attention, if I allow my body to talk first, then there is a different quality of words that will follow. And I learned that sometimes it's really a bottom-up experience. So I put myself in a certain embodied position in order then to really bring across the message that is important for me to send out. It really is top down, bottom up, and all the way between, I guess.
Top down, bottom up, left, right, inside out, outside. It's all happening at the same time.
Yes, yes.
And what I found very challenging, and that's why I brought these two worlds together, like business and goddess, to really bring, because very often I see that in personal development, a lot's happening with the embodiment, but it's not that often happening in business, especially with the feminine qualities too. And that's why I brought that together, the business goddess. And that's why I'm so grateful that you're part of that journey to bring that with all your business experiences and what you just mentioned with the embodiment, with Virginia sat here. Because I think I call it the and time. It's about and, not either or, personal development and business, but we have to bring a lot of more things together, and then something new will emerge. And that's why that's actually my vision, to create a better world for all of us. And for that, I think we as women have to get reconnected, resource with our feminine qualities, because through the patriarchal system, we lost a lot of that. So it's nothing wrong for us. It's just we have to reconnect to our sources.
Yeah, it's really true. It's a time for both and instead of either or. It's the division that is really trying to put people in a box, that is saying, I know more than you, so it's top down. And in the complexity of today's challenges, we really, need to come back to the wisdom of that ancient story of the, blindfolded people, 6 blinds that are trying to describe the nature, the truth of the elephant, and really taking all the many perspectives from the places they touch the elephant, saying it's the trunk, it's the tail, it's the ventilator, it's like a tree, and saying, yeah, it's all of that. It's some of that, it's all of that, and it's even more, because we cannot touch the totality of the truth of the nature of the elephant. And to me, it's really not something completely new, but it's more an era that needs to reconnect to old understanding and wisdom. We have it in nature cultures. We have it in the humanistic psychology approaches from the 50s, 60s, 70s, to know that, we are interconnected beings, and I hope that we can seed the old into the new, to come back to our nature senses again, I guess.
And with the senses, it makes then sense to have the senses included. Oh my God.
It does.
Makes sense. And I'm a Scrum Master too, and I thought it was really interesting when I went to the training to really see how they work in a cycle, that it's about the core team and that they work together. And, and the same thing, that you leave them the space and the freedom for a certain period of time to be and to work and to focus on the process, and all the time interrupting. And it's like, in project management, I always say, even if you have 9 women, they will not produce a child within 1 month. So certain things just need time, and it doesn't really help if you're just pushing or pulling or putting more resources in. And it's the same thing with development. Sometimes it needs the time that nature just needs in a cycle.
Absolutely. I just learned from my dear friend Daniel Oil yesterday. We were doing this beautiful somatic process, and his companion does this amazing, Matthias, this amazing sound and music. And we were dancing through the elements, and one being water. And he reminded me of the water always going down and finding the most easy way to move around the obstacles. And you know, also water has such a strength, and it reminded me of Bruce Lee's really poignant interview where he said, "Be water, my friend." And to me, becoming water again, which also is the metaphor of life energy, life force, is really a key to me. We can muscularly force certain opinions to come across, or I can be with the connection with others to understand where they're coming from, what is their intention, what is their longing, what's really important to be heard and to be listened, and to be noticed and to be understood, in order to then say, I get that, and we may be going this direction or not. You know, I can do this, or here's a boundary, but it will definitely create a different quality of relationship. And to me, that is really essential and needed, that we really bring the quality of water again into the conversation, and show up as human beings, which are embodied life energy. We are that water, we are that energy, that life force.
And yeah, that's why we have to get into that flow. And water is then actually the resource for us, you know, everything in our world. Without water, nothing would work here. So yeah, I'm just looking for the time, and I'm so happy that we took the time today for this live. I would be happy to get some feedback from you who attended or actually look at the video. So if you have any questions for the Business Goddess program, then just please contact me or Eva. I'm really happy to share more information, and yeah, to bring more. For me, the key word is the key sentence is embodied women empower the world. And empowered women empower the world. So yeah, let's embody and empower ourselves to build a better world.
I like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you then live, finally live again in Budapest. I'm totally getting great about that. Woo!
You're live. Yes, awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who was attending. Hi, Andrea. It was so nice to have you here. Thank you.
Life and hug and everything. Listen, Köln. Oh, my friend Sönke is there too. Dich kann ich bald küssen. Ich komm mal vorbei.
Thank you very much. Bye bye, Eva.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.